You don't take from what you've, put on the table and forecasted and told the world that this is what may likely happen during this period. Do they usually, look at what you're doing to see how they can help maybe improve on the policies to help boost the confidence of businessmen in the economy?
Exactly. Like I said now, business confidence index for second quarter rose by about 10%. And we've seen the effect on inflation. Inflation has been rising. A better part of last year and early this year, inflation was dropping. Now we have come out again. The Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry have come out again to say that business confidence index dropped by like 5% for third quarter. Let's see what inflation numbers will be. Naturally, what it should be that is that inflation is supposed to drop. By this time in September, we'll come back here to see whether
it dropped
or not.
Okay.
So it's a very interesting index, and I'm sure that there is no other macroeconomic numbers that explains the economy the way the business confidence index.
Okay, I was just going to ask you what are the major factors that usually depresses, or rather that depress this particular index that you just released. Like I was trying to tell our viewers, we're saying that the third quarter aggregates BCI dropped from 19.4% it posted in the second quarter to 14.3%. And if you look at the first quarter, from the statistics that we have here, we looked at that, it stood at 11.3%. What are those factors? We saw it drop in the first quarter, rose in the second quarter, and in the third quarter it's dropping. What are those factors responsible for this movement?
Well, when this number came out, we were a little bit surprised because third quarter, over the years, this is the first time since we launched this index that the third quarter index is dropping relative to second quarter. And we look at what is responsible. What are those key peculiarities that we are seeing now that were not there in 2013 and they were not there in 2012? A lot of issues. I don't want to be talking about the things that everybody know about security and implication, even power situation and implication, but there are specific issues that you may not think they are as impactful as that. Throughout the second quarter, the Apapa, Oshodi-Apapa Road, which is the major gateway of this country, was almost locked down. It had a great spillover negative implication on businesses across all the sectors. Businesses that are supposed to be closed or crystallized within 3 days, over 1 month, is still hanging. This is a major source of worry for investors and for existing businesses. Okay, take another issue, logistic challenges. Of course, the logistic challenge is also tied into the Oshodi-Apapa crisis. It's improving, but the problem is still there. In Lagos alone, for you to deliver goods from a warehouse or even from the port to another place, you need to get 19 documents. Have you ever taken a look on the windscreen of an average delivery van in Lagos? Sometimes even the driver is difficult for him, the vision is impeded. It's difficult for him to see because you have to paste all of the 19 different documents. And unfortunately, some of these documents, you see just an agency such as VIO, you have to obtain 3 different documents from them. Most of this documentation or permits expire in a week, in a month, in 1 year from one agency. It's a big issue.
Okay. And before we go on a break, I just want to ask you, globally, because I know that in some economies there are some ways of tracking investors' mood as well, and so that this is one of the ways that we track our own mood in the country. Like you stated in the survey, the Nigeria's BCI scores over the years continue to trail below the 50% global business confidence threshold.
Correct.
So there is a threshold.
There's a threshold,
anything below that 50% doesn't spell good.
It doesn't spell too good.
Too good for
the threshold. The threshold actually is 0. Anything below 0 is pessimism, negative. Things are going to be so bad. But anything more than 0, between 0 and 50%, yes, it will be good, but not too good. We call it slightly confident. But sufficiently confident or very confident is anything from 50% to 100. We've been cruising between 1 to something 35.
Below 50.
Below 50. So we are slightly confident.
So the confidence is not as strong
as
it
strong,
should be.
Exactly. And it's important that you ask this question so that our viewers will notice that, yes, we are in the positive threshold, but that positivity is not very, very strong. And again, the manufacturing sector have been the whipping dog. In fact, this is the first time we're seeing manufacturing sector surviving zero. It's always big. It's always negative. This time is 4%. You see that all of these issues that affect businesses in Nigeria, manufacturers are at the receiving end, especially the SMEs. Especially the SMEs, you can start talking about cost of fund. Interest rate is so high. Somebody said that one of the respondents said that they have been shut out of a banking hall in Nigeria with high interest rates, and even other rigidities. You know, the documentation and the process before, even when you get all the documentation before the loan is granted, the opportunities the commercial opportunity you are chasing is already behind you. This is an issue for SME, even regulatory infractions. We find out that SME manufacturers are more, because of their inherent vulnerabilities, it is more difficult for them to deal with regulatory infractions, regulatory intimidation, charges, fees,
but they have
fines.
Bodies. They have associations that they belong to. And
such as Lagos Chamber of Commerce.
Yes, and other groups that they belong to. Haven't they been able to find a way through having to solve some of these challenges through the bodies that represent the SMEs? Have they been able to tackle them? Because I know that as we grow in number and grow in the number of businesses that are in operation, we would continue to have challenges to solve, to deal with. But have there been any improvement with having to, work with the various bodies and groups like the LCCI that represent business owners in Nigeria?
Yes, we are making progress, and that is why we are here. One of our major functions is advocacy. We continue to engage these authorities. We continue to engage them. But from our experience, it is easier for bigger companies, bigger manufacturers, multinationals, to find their way around regulatory challenges. One, they have money to even keep to the standard or require standard. They also have some influence to wriggle their way out of these constraints. But for an SME or medium-scale manufacturer, even money for even operating capital is even a challenge. So that is why we are in LCCI, to make sure that some of these vulnerable manufacturers are also protected. We engage this authority, make sure that their permits are coming out as at when due, and making sure that some of this intimidation is not happening. We find a situation where on just one item,
all right,
different regulators will have to come and check a particular, just for example, a certification done by, or a lab test and certification done by NAFDAC that your processes are good and everything, SON will refuse to honor it on the same cream, on the same weave-on. These are challenges for an SME manufacturer. So you see a lot of what can I call overlap of duties, even between the state authorities and the federal authorities. I don't want to call the name of the company. Last week, Thursday, we just received a call that these people are here. The same environmental people, environmental for Lagos and environmental for in Abuja, they even clash. These ones are here, all of them clash, wasting management time. Okay. And whenever they are around, in fact, everything in the manufacturing line is shut down. They want to see the management waste of time. And as they are going, you have to do your PR. You have to pay transportation. So these are the issues.
Those are allegations
we are dealing with. Not allegations, these are facts. These are the issues we are dealing with. And whether we like it or not, SME is very, very vulnerable in this environment, especially SME manufacturers.